There is an ancient silence inside you, a silence that screams every time you try to fit into the world. A quiet ache that words cannot fully explain. It rises in crowded rooms, in shallow conversations, in places where everyone else seems comfortable, except you. While others laugh and blend in effortlessly, your soul withdraws, searching for clean air in the middle of smoke. For years, you may have believed this was a flaw. You may have thought it was shyness or some difficult part of your personality, or even a weakness you needed to overcome. But what if I told you this feeling was never weakness at all? What if every discomfort, every moment of distance, every night you chose silence over noise was not rejection, but preparation? What if it was a secret code written by the Creator himself, guiding you along the path only you were meant to walk? Because there are people who are sent into this world to walk with the many. But there are others who were chosen to awaken among the few. And those few carry signs. Not always signs you can see with your eyes, but signs written deep within the spirit. A sensitivity so sharp it detects without effort what ordinary eyes will never notice. A depth that refuses to be satisfied with the shallow. A constant inner pull that whispers, you were made for something more. Maybe, since childhood, you have felt that life was saving you for something unnamed. While others chased belonging, you craved meaning. While many ran to be surrounded by the crowd, you sought moments of stillness to remember who you were. That distance you felt was not punishment. It was protection. A silent work from heaven, pulling you away from the noise, so that when the time arrived, your soul would recognize its mission. And now, that time has come. You stand at the edge of a revelation that can shift the way you see your entire
life. You are not here by accident. You are not listening by coincidence.
You are here because the spiritual realm has decided that you are ready to remember who you are. So if, as you hear these words, your heart begins to race, or a strange "I've always known" rises within you, mark this moment. Type the number 111 in the comments right now. Why 111? Because it is the symbol of alignment, of awakening, of the beginning of your mission. By writing it, you are declaring to yourself and to the universe, I am ready to remember who I am. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Not for numbers, not for algorithms, but because this space exists for you. Here, every word is a map, every message a confirmation for those who are set apart, those who carry invisible marks and missions few dare to accept. By subscribing, you are not just following content, you are choosing to walk alongside others who, like you, have been chosen for something greater. Take a deep breath, because what you are about to discover may completely change the way you understand your past, your present, and your future. This is not simply information, it is remembrance, it is activation, and it begins now. From the very beginning of time, the Creator has always set apart those chosen for a higher purpose. Not with crowns or golden robes, not with titles or worldly recognition, but with signs so subtle that only the Spirit can perceive them. These are not marks written on the surface of the skin, but codes etched deep into the soul. They are felt more than seen, woven into the way you think, the way you feel, the way you see through what others overlook. These invisible marks are not accidents. They are ancient seals, embedded into your being long before your first breath. They tell the spiritual world something the physical world often misses. This one is mine. This one carries an assignment. Maybe you have carried, since childhood, a depth of sensitivity others could not understand. While those around you laughed at shallow things, your soul felt the emptiness behind them. While others seemed comfortable blending into the crowd, you carried a quiet awareness that you were different, not better, not above, but undeniably set apart. And with that awareness came both weight and wonder, because the fate of the marked is not privilege, it is purpose. To be chosen is to be noticed, not only by heaven, but also by the unseen forces that oppose it. This is why your path has never looked like anyone else's. This is why rejection, delays, and sudden turns have shaped your journey. From the outside, it may have looked like loss, but in truth, it was preservation. Heaven has been guarding you from what would have contaminated your calling, and so your road has been narrow. Friends have faded without explanation. Opportunities that seemed perfect have vanished overnight. People you thought would remain forever have walked away. But this is not abandonment. It is alignment. The narrow road strips away what cannot travel with you, so that when the moment of awakening arrives, you are light enough to carry the fire without compromise. If you've ever wondered why others can move in packs while you walk alone, this is the reason. You are not called to the same destination. The many chase comfort, but the chosen pursue purpose. And purpose often demands that you travel light, carrying only what heaven has placed in your hands. In this journey, there will be nights when the silence feels unbearable, when solitude presses heavy against your chest. But do not mistake this for emptiness. The narrow path is where chosen ones hear God most clearly. It is where gifts awaken, where discernment sharpens, where your spirit learns to stand without leaning on the approval of others. And in that silence, you will discover a paradox. What feels like solitude is actually sacred escort. Angels walk beside you. Invisible forces protect you. The Spirit whispers direction meant only for your ears. The road is narrow, yes, but it is also holy, carved specifically for your feet alone. If this speaks to you, type 111 in the comments as your confirmation. It is your declaration that you choose purpose over comfort. And when you make that choice, you will be ready for the next truth. Because carrying the mark is not only about walking a narrow path, it is about living with the ache of never fully belonging. And that ache itself carries a revelation. From your earliest memories, there has always been a quiet distance between you and the world around you. It was never that you didn't try to belong. You did. You laughed when others laughed. You followed when others led. You stepped into rooms where you hoped just maybe you would finally feel at home. And yet, no matter how much you gave, there was always a whisper echoing deep inside. This is not where you fit. While others seemed content to blend into the rhythm of the crowd, you stood at the edges, watching. It wasn't a choice you consciously made. It was instinct. Something in your spirit recoiled when the atmosphere was wrong, when the words lacked truth, when the joy around you felt manufactured. Even in the middle of noise, your soul searched for silence. Even when your body remained present, your spirit drifted somewhere else, longing for meaning in a world too often satisfied with illusions. This is the ache the chosen know well, the pain of being here, but not of here. It is the strange heaviness of sitting in a room full of people and still feeling solitude pressing on your chest. It is the unshakable awareness that your soul vibrates on a frequency too high to ever fully merge with the ordinary. And while the world has labeled this distance in many ways, shyness, arrogance, aloofness, heaven names it separation. Separation is not punishment. It is protection. It is not a flaw to be fixed, but a mark to be honored. You were not designed to feel at ease in every space, because not every space can hold the light you carry. Not every environment is worthy of the presence you bring. This ache has always been a signal that you were meant for more, even before you had the language to describe it. The pain of not belonging carries purpose. It sharpens discernment. It forces you to listen to the compass within you. It breaks your dependence on external approval and anchors your identity to the voice of the one who called you. Each time you felt the sting of not fitting in, heaven was reminding you, you are not here to blend. You are here to stand apart. There will be seasons when this weight feels unbearable. when you wish you could silence your sensitivity, when you envy the ease with which others seem to find belonging. But remember this, the very sensitivity that makes belonging difficult is also your greatest protection. It is what allows you to sense truth before it speaks, deception before it strikes, and danger before it fully forms. What others walk into blindly, you discern without effort. Sensitivity is not weakness. It is armor. It is a shield woven into your soul. It enables you to feel the tremor behind words, to sense the shift in atmosphere before anyone else notices, to know when a smile hides bitterness or when silence carries weight. You may not always be able to explain it, but you feel it. And that feeling is not coincidence. It is heaven's way of steering you away from what would harm your mission. But armor can feel heavy. You do not only carry your own emotions, you often sense the burdens of others too. Crowds can feel like oceans of overlapping storms. The grief of a stranger behind you, the anger of someone across the room, the hidden fear in voices around you. You don't just notice these things, you feel them. And that sensitivity, if not guarded, can leave you drained, restless, or even physically exhausted, as though you fought a battle unseen by anyone else. This is why solitude becomes necessary. God pulls you away not to isolate you without cause, but to cleanse and restore you. Your spirit cannot remain clear if it is constantly submerged in noise, chaos, or deception. That distance, though painful, protects your clarity. It ensures that when your moment comes, you will be able to stand with strength untangled from the storms of others. The world may never understand this ache. To them, your separation looks like fragility, but to heaven, it is sacred strategy. It is how you were trained to discern the real from the false, to walk with intention rather than dissolve into the crowd. You were never called to belong everywhere, because everywhere is not worthy of you. And this realization is where the paradox turns to power. The very solitude you once cursed becomes the very place where your soul finds its sharpest vision. The wilderness becomes your training ground. The silence becomes your teacher. And the ache of not belonging reveals its true purpose, to guide you into the spaces that were created for your presence alone. Every warrior of light must enter a season that feels like emptiness to the world. But in heaven, it is known as preparation. That season is the desert, a place where distractions vanish, where voices fall silent, where the crowd disappears, and you are left standing face to face with the unfiltered truth of who you are and who you were always meant to become. The desert strips you. It takes away what is familiar, what feels safe, what gave you comfort, until all that is left is you and God. Its nights are cold, pressing with loneliness. Its days stretch endlessly, filled with waiting that tests your patience. The people you thought would always walk with you seem to fade. The opportunities you believed were secure crumble like sand in your hands. And still, you remain, fragile in body, but watched over by heaven. This place is uncomfortable, yes, but it is sacred, because it is here, away from the noise, that your discernment is sharpened. Here, your spirit begins to hear what could not be heard before. The voices of the crowd, the opinions of the world, the expectations of others all dissolve, leaving only the still, unwavering direction of the Almighty. The desert becomes a classroom with no walls, a sanctuary without distractions, a training ground where your spirit learns to stand in silence and yet remain unshakable. In the desert, your gifts begin to awaken. Your vision becomes clearer. What once confused you starts to make sense. The doubts that whispered for years finally rise to the surface, not to destroy you, but to be conquered once and for all. In this place, you learn the difference between illusion and truth, between what flatters the flesh and what strengthens the soul. And though to the natural eye, The desert looks like emptiness. It is anything but empty. Invisible hands guide your every step. Angels stand guard over your sleep. The Spirit whispers insights you could not have received in the noise of the crowd. God Himself draws near, closer than ever, because there is nothing left between you and Him. The desert is not punishment. It is proving ground. It is the sacred space where heaven forges endurance, owns obedience, and carves identity into stone. Here, you are tested, not to break you, but to anchor you. When you emerge, you do so not fragile, but fierce, not wandering, but aligned, not half awake, but fully aware of the mission you carry. This is why the desert always comes before the sending. It is the pause between who you were and who you are about to become. To the untrained eye, this season looks like rejection, like exile, like delay. It feels like being forgotten, abandoned, or overlooked while the rest of the world seems to move forward. But in heaven's language, isolation is never exile. It is preservation. The desert is God's fortress. It is the invisible wall He builds around those who are marked, shielding them from voices that would distort, from hands that would drain, from influences that would corrode their purity. When you are chosen, your destiny is too delicate to be exposed too early, and so He hides you. He removes you from circles that look harmless but would steal your fire. He closes doors you begged Him to open because He saw the chains behind them. He leads you through paths that feel barren but are in fact highways of protection. In hiddenness, the greatest work is done. The roots of your faith grow deep. Your ears are tuned to catch the faintest whisper of divine direction. Your armor is reforged, your discernment sharpened, your strength solidified. What felt like delay reveals itself as acceleration, because while the world rushes blindly, heaven is preparing you for the weight of what is to come. Many resist this season, fighting to escape, running toward noise just to feel less alone. But those who endure the desert emerge unshakable. They carry a silence that intimidates darkness, a peace that cannot be manipulated, a strength that does not shout but stands. For in the wilderness, the chosen discover that solitude is not absence, but presence. The concentrated presence of God, uninterrupted, unshakable, undeniable. This is the paradox of the desert. It looks like emptiness, but it is fullness. It feels like exile, but it is escort. It appears barren, but it is blooming with unseen growth. It is not where you lose yourself. It is where you are finally found. And when you walk out, the world will not recognize you, because you will not be the same. Every chosen soul must pass through the fire, not the fire that destroys, but the fire that refines. If the desert is where distractions are stripped away, the fire is where the essence of who you are is purified until it shines with unshakable clarity. The desert prepares you for silence, but the fire prepares you for battle. And while it may feel like the hardest part of the journey, it is also the holiest. The refining fire rarely announces itself gently. It arrives as pressure, as trial, as loss that shakes you to your core. Relationships you thought would never change suddenly collapse. Doors you begged God to open remain sealed shut. Provision you trusted dries up without warning. And in the middle of it all, you wonder, why me? Why now? Haven't I suffered enough? But heaven whispers back, this is not to destroy you. This is to reveal you. For in the fire, illusions burn away. Masks that once hid your true self are consumed. The false securities you leaned on for comfort turn to ash. The pride you thought you didn't carry is exposed and dismantled. And though it feels like loss, it is actually liberation. What remains is not the weaker version of you, but the truer version, the self God intended before the world tried to shape you in its image. Gold is not valuable because it is easy to find. It is valuable because it endures fire, because every impurity is burned away until only brilliance remains. In the same way, the chosen must endure heat so intense that it forces out what does not belong. Not because God enjoys your pain, but because he refuses to let you carry what could sabotage your purpose. The fire also reveals the strength you did not know you had. It answers questions that silence alone could not. Will you still believe when the blessing is delayed? Will you still walk with integrity when no one is watching? Will you still stand when the applause fades and the crowd disappears? These are questions the fire forces to the surface, not so you can fail them, but so you can finally prove to yourself that you are stronger than you imagined. And here lies the paradox of the chosen. What should have consumed you instead empowers you. What should have broken you instead builds you. What was meant to silence you instead amplifies your voice. Because in the refining fire, weakness is transformed into strength, scars into signs of survival, wounds into wisdom. When you emerge from the fire, you do not carry the stench of smoke. You carry the fragrance of heaven. People look at you and cannot understand how you survived, how you held your peace, how you kept your faith when everything around you fell apart. And the answer is simple. It was never your strength alone. It was the refining hand of God, molding you into a vessel capable of carrying glory that ordinary lives cannot contain. The fire is painful, yes, but it is also sacred. It removes what you cannot take into your next season. It strengthens what must remain. It seals your authority in realms unseen. And when you walk out of it, the enemy trembles, because you are no longer who you were. You are unshakable, untouchable, unstoppable. The desert prepared you. The fire refined you. And together, they shaped you into something the world cannot explain. For the one who has endured both is no longer afraid of storms, rejection, scarcity, or shadows. The one who has endured both has already faced the worst and discovered that even in the fire, they were never alone. This is the mystery of the refining fire. It does not come to take your life. It comes to give it back. Not the life you built for yourself, but the life heaven wrote for you from the beginning. A life carried not by pride, but by purity. Not by fear, but by faith. Not by illusion, but by unshakable truth. After the silence of the desert and the heat of the refining fire, something extraordinary begins to stir within you. At first it feels subtle, a calm strength in your chest, a quiet certainty you can't explain. But soon it becomes undeniable. You are awakening. The very things that once made you feel different, out of place, or even broken now, begin to reveal themselves as the marks of your purpose. What you carried in silence, what you suffered in secret, what you thought would bury you, has all been reshaped into the foundation of your mission. This awakening doesn't come like lightning. It does not crash into your life with noise and chaos. It rises like dawn after a long and restless night, slowly, steadily, until everything looks different. The same places that once drained, you can no longer touch your spirit. The same temptations that once pulled you fall powerless at your feet. You carry yourself differently, not in arrogance, but in assurance, not in pride, but in clarity. For you finally understand all of it had a purpose. Every moment in which you didn't belong, every night of solitude, every tear cried in silence, they were not wasted. They were seeds, seeds that the desert preserved, that the fire purified, and that now, in this awakening, break through the soil of your soul into life. And with that, life comes revelation. You were never called to survive the process. You were called to embody the transformation. In this stage, you begin to notice something new about yourself. Your words carry weight, Not because you try to sound wise, but because your spirit has walked through valleys most never survive. Your presence shifts atmospheres, not because you demand attention, but because light cannot help but confront darkness when it enters a room. Your scars, once hidden in shame, now radiate authority. They tell a story that others cannot deny, even if they cannot fully understand it. Purpose is never born in comfort. It is born in contradiction, in fire, in silence, in tears. That is why your path has always been different. You could not remain where others stopped. You could not rest where others found ease. You could not settle for half-truths or shallow answers. You were being prepared, shaped, and set apart for something far greater. An assignment that demands resilience, clarity, and depth. And here lies the paradox. What once felt like weakness now becomes your greatest strength. The rejection that once crushed you has become your compassion. The betrayals that tore you apart have deepened your discernment. The loneliness that weighed on you now fuels your intimacy with God. You are not the same. You cannot be the same. Because what you endured was never random. It was preparation. And with this awakening, your steps shift. You no longer walk with hesitation, waiting for the world's approval. You no longer strive to be seen because you understand that heaven already recognizes you. You no longer fight to prove your worth because your very survival is proof enough. You are chosen, not because you are flawless, but because you endured. You are chosen, not because you avoided the fire, but because you walked through it and emerged purified. But this awakening is not just for you. It is bigger than you. Your family, your community, your generation, they are waiting for the sound of your voice, for the light you carry, for the authority born of your scars. When you rise, they rise. When you step into purpose, they find courage to step into theirs. This is the mystery of being chosen. Your obedience becomes a key that unlocks freedom for others. The desert tested you. The fire refined you. But this awakening seals you. It anchors you in your identity. It places your feet firmly on the path you were always meant to walk. And once you taste this clarity, once you stand in this awareness, nothing and no one can put you back to sleep. For you are not only awake, you are alive with purpose. Refinement has never been gentle. It is not the soft shaping of clay in a child's hands, but the relentless work of a master who sees what no one else can see. It is the fire that strips away impurities, the pressure that carves beauty out of stone, the pruning that cuts away even what looks alive but no longer serves the vine. For the chosen, refinement is not an option, it is destiny. Without it, the weight of your calling would crush you. With it, you are made unshakable. This process feels at times merciless. Delays that stretch longer than you imagined, losses that take from you what you thought you could not live without, doors that slam shut just as you were ready to step through them. And the silence. Oh, the silence. It can feel like abandonment, like heaven itself has turned away. But in truth, these are not signs of rejection. They are instruments of love, each delay teaching patience, each loss teaching release, each closed door teaching trust, each silence sharpening your ability to hear the whisper that matters most. Refinement does not strip you because you are unworthy. It strips you because you are worthy of more than you realize. It burns away dependence on human approval. It breaks the chains of constant validation. It dissolves your obsession with appearance and reputation until all that remains is the core of your purpose, pure, clear, immovable. By the time refinement has finished its work, you are no longer running after every glittering opportunity or bending under every voice of expectation. You move with discernment. You recognize counterfeits instantly. You wait for what is truly yours because you know what heaven has prepared cannot be stolen. And make no mistake, refinement reveals strength you did not know was in you. It forces endurance where there was once only fragility. It shows you that you can survive the nights you thought would kill you, the storms you thought would drown you, the silence you thought would break you. And when you come out like gold purified in fire, brighter, stronger, untouchable by lesser things. But here is the mystery few understand. Refinement is not punishment. It is love. Fierce love. Love that refuses to let you walk into destiny carrying chains that would destroy you. Love that insists on shaping you into a vessel that can contain the weight of heaven without cracking. Love that trusts you enough to test you, because only those trusted with much are refined with fire. And then, after the fire, after the silence, after the cutting away, something remarkable happens. A stillness settles into your soul. A clarity you never had before takes root. The battles that once threw you into despair no longer shake you. The voices that once confused you lose their power. You walk differently, not louder, but surer. Not chasing, but leading. Not trembling, but anchored. You carry the quiet confidence of one who knows they are seen by heaven, chosen by design, and guided by an invisible hand that never fails. From this place, a new gift is birthed, sacred clarity, the ability to know without hesitation when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to stay silent, when to fight and when to rest. This clarity becomes your compass, the inner light that guides you through a world drowning in confusion. And with it, you are no longer reactive. You are intentional, no longer scattered. You are focused, no longer pulled in every direction. You are aligned. Chosen one, hear this. Nothing in your journey has been random. The loneliness, the delays, the separations, the tears, all of it was written into your story for a purpose. You were hidden to be protected. You were separated to be prepared. You were refined so that when the time came, you would not bend under pressure, but stand as a pillar, unshaken. Every no you faced was not rejection, but redirection. Every closed door was a divine wall protecting you from what could have stolen your purity. Every delay was God's way of aligning you with timing more perfect than your own plans. And now you stand awakened. The fire has not destroyed you. The desert has not starved you. The silence has not broken you. Instead, you rise, carrying the clarity, the armor, and the light necessary to walk the narrow road before you. The world may not understand it, but heaven does. Heaven has always known, and heaven has already marked your steps. It no longer matters who doubted you. It no longer matters who left you behind. It no longer matters who failed to see your worth. They were never meant to carry what you carry. They were never meant to hear what heaven whispered into your soul. That message was for you, and you alone. And now you know it. And knowing changes everything. So from this day forward, walk as one recognized by heaven. Let every step declare that you are on assignment. Let every choice reflect the purity of your mission. Let your very life be the proof that being chosen was never about comfort. It was always about impact. You were not called to blend in. You were called to stand out. You were not created to survive. You were created to shift atmospheres, and you will. If this word has awakened something deep inside of you, seal it right now. Type in the comments, "I receive this word." Let it be your declaration to yourself, to heaven, and to the generations watching, that you are ready to rise, refined and awakened. And if you haven't yet, subscribe now. Not because you need another video, but because this space is a sanctuary for souls like yours. A place where your fire will never be shamed, where your sensitivity is honored, where your mission is confirmed. Chosen one, your struggle was never meant to destroy you. It was the process of refinement that revealed you. You are not broken, you are not forgotten, you are fire. And your time is now.